Hey girlfriend, are you ready for a new ism based on love and friendship? Welcome to Girlfriendism. Hello, 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 Girlfriendism family. It is your girlfriend, Dr. K. And today I have the blessing and the honor and the privilege to be here with two amazing sisters who I love dearly, Dr. Dee and Carlota, who are joining in from different regions today. So I am really excited about our conversation and grateful to you, girlfriends, for being in this space. So today I'm wearing two hats. So I'm always in my Girlfriendism hat, of course, as the founder of Girlfriendism International. But today is really special because I get to also talk about my baby and something that's passionate to all of us. And that is as the executive director of H.O.P.E USVI, which stands for Helping Ordinary People Every Day to Be Extraordinary Through the Arts and Creative Expression. That is a nonprofit branch of Girlfriendism, where we work with survivors of domestic violence and sexual violence in a culturally specific way. So girlfriends, welcome, 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 and thank you so much for being here, sharing this space, and honoring this time that we're going to be sharing together. So I'm going to let you all introduce yourselves, okay? And then we're going to get into our girlfriend story. Like, how did we meet? How did it start? So where shall we go? Do we want to start with you, Carlotta? Do we want to start with you, Dr. D? Who wants to go in first?
Well, hello, and it is an amazing day. It's always good when girlfriends meet up. I
Yes.
am your girlfriend, Carlotta, and today I'm sitting in Georgetown, Guyana. Wow, all the way in South America.
Yes, I love it. We representing for the regions, y'all.
Yes, yes.
Love it.
I sit here as a therapist, a licensed psychologist here in Guyana, holding space for, well, all people, but for girlfriends, definitely, doing the work so that we can heal in community, which is very important.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so happy that you're going to be on this journey with us. And that's our girlfriend right here. There she is. There she is on our flyer. There she is representing from Guyana, South America. Thank you so much, my love. And Dr. D, where you at? I see you're on the beach somewhere with palm trees.
I wish I was.
I know.
Hi, I'm Dr. D. I'm coming to you from New York City via
Yes.
the Dominican Republic. So representing the Dominican Republic in my background. I am your girlfriend. I love this introduction of I am your girlfriend.
Oh, thank you.
I am your girlfriend who, supports you in creating safe spaces of healing. Because as we know, as life is lifing and things are happening, there are situations that break our hearts. And, we got to keep going, but we also need to address matters of the heart. And so that is who I am in the world for survivors and for little girls all over the world.
I absolutely love that. And I know we're going to get to dive a little bit more into the little girl. So I'm really looking forward to that conversation because we all have that little girl in us. Actually, we're still in our little girl bodies, but we're just showing up differently, right? And so it's so important for us to honor that. So I'm really excited to get to that conversation too. But before we do, because when we do these talks sometimes, or when we come together in spaces of training, everyone thinks that, okay, this is Dr. So-and-so, this is Carlotta of HRI Kid. They don't know that we're girlfriends too. We're people too. We're approachable. We go through life too. Things be lifing for us too sometimes. So we can be both professionals and also experience trauma and also seek healing, right? And we do that collectively. So where did our girlfriend stories begin before we start to tell people about our beautiful, embracing radical self-care and rest? April 4th to the 6th. I think I have to start with Carlotta because I think my journey started with her, right? And then we'll get over to Dr. D. So Carlotta and we met at the Domestic Violence Sexual Assault Council. We were both working, right, for the Territorial Coalition for the Virgin Islands at that time. Oh my goodness. Carlota, you remember those
And
days?
that, yes, oh my gosh. 2014, 2015, somewhere
Yes,
around there. Oh, that was amazing. We were doing the work in the
we were.
trenches, you know,
Yes,
and we met and our spirits just
it
connected.
did.
Just connected. Yes, because we were doing new things and
Yes,
finding new ways to reach people. I
yes,
remember our working together on the faith-based
yes.
committee, getting the people of faith to use their voices to
That's
advocate
right.
for survivors of violence, gender-based
Yes,
violence, and that was a big thing.
that
And
was.
then stepping out into the national stage where we co-presented and
Yes.
facilitated a lot of
We did
workshops.
movement. So we did, Dr. D. I think it was National
Yes,
Sexual Assault Conference. It was
yes,
our first time presenting together on healing through movement. And you know what I remember
yes.
about that? That was so cool, right? You could tell Caribbean people, right? You can't take us nowhere. So I remember us having a room and people kept peeping in to see like what's going on. Girl, we
What's
had
going
soca
on?
music. We were like, we're gonna free up in this place. And people were like peeking in, like, what? We thought there was a training. We're like, this is the training. That's the whole
Mm,
point of the training. We need to free up and liberate right now. So it was really, really fun to do that together.
yes. Yeah, I think that our journey was a healing one too,
Yes,
because we healed in the relationship and we helped each other
we
heal in the
did.
relationship.
We
um,
did.
True girlfriends. And I
That's so
think that
true.
that bond of just experiencing real life. I
Yes.
mean, we were both working for the Virgin Islands Domestic
Domestic
Violence and
violence.
Sexual Assault Council, appearing in court and doing all this
Yes.
work,
And at
training,
the same time, the
advocating, all of
parallel of
that.
us going through our own experiences
Yes,
at the
and
very
yep,
same time. Yes, that is so
yep,
true.
yep, yep.
Oh,
That
I think
was
we
something.
really bonded over that. And the
I
bond
think
has
so.
still remained. And now we're taking that
Hmm.
energy and transforming it into this healing. So that's a beautiful thing.
Yes,
So at least
yes,
you see, that's the first time you're getting that backstory, Dr. D, right? How this
yeah,
girlfriend love story started, but that is so true. We were, we had these dual roles of, being the trainers, educators, and advocates at our territorial coalition. And both of us were experiencing our own forms of violence, in our personal lives. And so we're really anchors
yeah.
together. And that really speaks to that power of girlfriendism. Even I didn't even have the language for girlfriendism at that time, but that's exactly what
Mhm,
that was. And that's why I love the work that we do. And so that
mhm.
also led us to Dr. D. So,
Yes,
what I want the audience to get to also is, even though there were intersections of trauma in our life, we're here doing something on hope and healing, but that actually led me to both of you. And so what I want people, when they look at this, to just take a moment to pause and reflect on that and realize that, there are things that we're going to go through in this life that are very traumatic, but it can also be the thing that is good. If we are trusting the process in ourselves and connecting in community, that healing process can bring us to that other side, because it's a
to the
beautiful
other
thing that
side.
we're
Yeah.
here in this healing space, but a lot of how we connected was over the trauma space. And so with Dr. D, I think things had kind of settled down in my personal life by the time we met together, but we actually met in Santa Cruz, see, right? I think it was an executive director's retreat actually in St. Croix. Ain't that something? It's like coming
Mhm.
back to me. We're here talking about a retreat, and how we met was at a retreat. So let's talk about that. You were here for the retreat. What were we doing for that?
Yeah, that was I think a very special moment. I know for me as a consultant who has been in this field for such a long time, to finally bring together women of color who
Yes.
are advocates, who are organizers, who are doing this work, are on the front lines, have their own stories also of domestic violence, like you and
Mm-hmm.
Carletta just shared, and
Yes.
having your own time and space to do your own healing, and the importance of bringing that into
Yes.
your personal lives and your work so that you can sustain. And so that's how we met.
Yes.
And it was the first time that the that organization was able to get funded to be able to do that.
Correct. And that was, oh man, that is absolutely correct. That, our this whole journey has been so organic. And so, to your point, we would have never met, right? If it were not for the advocacy of, sisters, even nationally, standing in the trenches and asking for support for culturally specific organizations. And so H.O.P.E is a baby organization, right? Compared to other organizations that's been doing the work. And so I'm so grateful that we get to now pay it forward. So that is so cool. So I'm here thinking about this. Like, we met at a retreat for directors who are, carrying forward the work in their organizations. And now we're able to bring it back full circle and now offer this retreat also for women of color and for survivors. That's just beautiful. Like, this is all just clicking for me. I'm like spirit led. I tell people this all the time. I just do what I know I'm called to do, but it doesn't always connect. And so I'm connecting the dots as we're talking. So thank you for reminding me of that. So that is our beautiful girlfriend story. And then now, because of this, now we have two new girlfriends, because now Dr. Dee and Carlota are going to be girlfriends because
because I met
yes.
I met Dr. Dee
in Puerto Rico. We also
last year, in November 2024, when I attended the retreat that was sponsored by CISE for women of color doing work around sexual violence.
Yes,
right.
That is right.
Yes,
that is
and I met you there, and now we're going to meet in a month's time to do this work in a healing space.
Absolutely. Well, I love that. And I think that's the perfect transition for us to talk about what we're going to be co-creating together at this Girlfriendism, Hope, and Healing Retreat, April 4th to 6th in St. Croix, on embracing radical self-care and rest. And so there are two things that I wanted to just kind of read, and then I'm going to ask for your input, and then also kind of share what we're going to be doing. So, we're recording this as we're approaching International Women's Day, and the theme this year is Accelerate Action. Accelerate action. And it's such a timely message with everything that is happening sociopolitically, right? Accelerate action. And I think that, as Black women, especially when we think of action, we immediately think about, okay, what do I need to do for my community? What do I need to advocate for? How do I get on the front lines, right? And part of this Hope and Healing Retreat is to help us to center self first, because before we can do all of those things and not be burnt out or resentful in the process because we're not taking care of self, we have to nurture our own spirit and our own soul before we can go out and do those things. And so I was looking at an article in Essence, and I'm not going to read the actual title because there are certain names in politics I refuse to call or name on any of my channels, so I'm going to revise it a little bit. But the title of it is "We Need More Than Self-Care to Overcome the Stress of This Presidency." And what stood out for me is one paragraph that says, calls for self-care have been warranted, whether that's making more time for meditation and mindfulness or just turning off the news. But before we retreat into individual silos to escape the madness of this administration, what it's rapidly inflicting, it's important to remember how Black women have historically responded to hostile terrain, which is often through community care. And I loved how that point of community care, because that's exactly what we're going to do in this retreat experience together, is putting ourselves at the center and nourishing our souls, but also taking care of this community of girlfriends, this community of survivors and thrivers, this community of advocates and healers. We're going to be taking care of each other also, just in the act of taking care of ourselves. And so as I turn that back to the two of you, because you all are our celebrity guests, darlings. Okay? You all are our celebrity guests. Okay, I'm I just cannot wait, because I've experienced you all. And I'm just like, I need the girlfriends to experience Dr. Dee. I need the girlfriends to experience Carlota, right? And all of this beautiful spirit energy that both of you bring. So when we think about that community care, that self-care, radical self-care, and that rest, what does that mean to you? And what do you think we will be centering, right, in this time together?
I just, as you were reading, I looked up the article, and the sister who wrote that article, because I hadn't read it.
Yes.
I've known for over 25 years.
Yes.
I've known her for 25 years, and she is part of my Girlfriendism tribe. So that's exciting just to see that far we've come. But we started our journey also the way that you and Carletta did as young women
Yeah.
coming into healing from,
Mm-hmm.
things that had happened to us. And 25 years later, she's in Essence. I'm doing a retreat, like, right?
Yes.
It's, how we come full circle. And I think, I'm glad that you mentioned that little part because it is going to take more than self-care
Right.
to do this work. And it's going to take, you talked about activating, right? The
Yeah.
activation. And
Mm-hmm.
it's going to take us activating our ancestors
Yes.
to be able to
Yes.
do this work. And so I'm really excited about who you are in the world, right? Who Carletta is in the world, because we're also not just bringing in healing, but
Yes.
a deep spiritual component of how do we connect back
Absolutely.
to the earth, to water, to wind, right? Like there's a reason that
Absolutely.
people think that when we do retreats in our countries, it's because we want to go to the beach. But the reason
Right.
that we do retreats in spaces like the one that we're going to be is because of our connection to land,
Yes.
our connection to the history of who women were for that land, right? The liberation and the freedom that happened in that land and our
Mm.
connection to it. And so we're going to be invoking, our innate spiritual power to be able to activate ourselves and our ancestors to go before us and to tap into a legacy, of rebellion
I
and
love that.
that we need at this time.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank
Yeah,
you for that.
yeah, I hear that. I hear that. And when you were reading, and even when, as I'm preparing for Saturday, International Women's Day, talking about acceleration, change, and so on, action. Uh, and for us in the space that we're creating, I feel like we are stuck. Our nervous system, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially our sympathetic nervous system is so stuck chronic in chronic activation. We
Right.
constantly in fight and flight.
Mm-hmm.
People want to take control of our bodies and tell us what to do with
To
our
do.
bodies and how
Yeah.
we can use our bodies and what we can do to our bodies.
Yeah.
And there's so many other things, a lot of rolling back of DEI and
Yeah.
and all these things that cutting the funding and pulling funding for so
Yeah.
many the
Yes.
important work that we do to
Yeah.
heal our community, to heal ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yes, we need this radical rest because we have chronic activation of our
Right.
sympathetic nervous system.
Right.
And so we need to engage, get our system back on track, and the parasympathetic nervous system that will
Mm-hmm.
help with this rest
Yeah.
that you're talking about, that will help us to restore our balance. And
Yeah.
so it is necessary.
It is.
This space in April for the 3 days, April 3rd to 4th to
4 to the
6th,
6. Yep.
it is so important because we are hyper aroused.
Yes.
We are
Yeah.
hyper aroused. It depends on where on the continental USA you're living.
Right.
You are hyper aroused, all
Yeah.
kinds of things, the color of your skin,
Yeah.
your accent,
Yeah.
all of those things. And because we're so hyper aroused, because we're so stuck, so much stress, and we need this time where we can
Absolutely.
balance. Whoo, child, where
Yes.
we can balance. We need it. We need to
Yes.
take care of ourselves and of each other. So this space is going to be necessary. We need
Oh,
action.
absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
need action.
And I want
Yeah,
people when they look at this and when they see the name rest, right? Because I remember in my days when I would just be going, 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 as if I'm not still going, going, going sometimes, but I'm going, going, going very intentionally, right? Like I'm very aware now, right? Of the impact that has on my soul, on my body, right? On my social relationships. And so I'm a lot more intentional now. But I used to think that, this saying of I will rest when I die. That was me back in the day, girl. And then I've gotten to the place where I realize if I don't rest, I will die
I will die.
sooner. I will die sooner. And so now my new phrase is rest is productive, right? When I get in that fight or flight and I feel like, well, I gotta keep going, I have to also tell myself rest is productive. Rest is an act of self-love, of self-care, of community care. And so for me to show up at my highest self, I have to be rested. And so that is an act. So I had to shift my thinking, right? From, oh, well, why should I be resting when I could be doing X, Y, and Z on my list? And then I realized that when I rest, though, I'm able to accomplish those things with more grace for myself and for others. And I can show up as my full self. And therefore, rest is productive. Right. And so that's what I want people when they look at this to recognize. Because, of course, I'm having the conversations with girlfriends. They're like, oh, my God, it's a whole weekend. And I'm like, yeah, it's a whole weekend because the intention, right, is to rest. So we're not doing the pop in and pop out. You know how we do when we're multitasking, we're on Zoom, we're in the meeting, we're taking the call. No, where the intent is to rest. And that is productive because at the end of that, the way we are going to step out of there, ready to conquer the world because we allowed ourselves to rest, is a gift to ourselves and to the world. So, it's having that conversation. And so it's been a mind shift for me. So I understand that it's a process, but I'm grateful that we're being intentional in holding this space for those who are ready, and even for those who are not ready, for them to even see it and say, radical self-care and rest. Okay, it'll plant that seed for when they are ready, right? And so what's one thing that you want girlfriends who attend this retreat to walk away with? And I know, Dr. D, you mentioned the little girl, and I can't wait for us to just get there so we could dive into that. So people who are looking at this, they can get the whole feel of what that is, because there's so many ahas for me, even when you spoke about that. But, particularly for their little girl too, what do you envision that you want the girlfriends to walk away with?
Liberation. Right? I think that, the word rest is so charged that people actually think it's stopping. Like, oh, I'm gonna stop. My life stops. In order for me to rest, life stops. And so I think it's about redefining your narrative around rest, right? Because it's not about stopping. It's about coming to your life from a place where you have let go of things that no longer serve you, where you are free and liberated from a past that you had no control of, from broken hearts that you're still, harboring and not forgiving. And so, yeah, we all come to this work because there's a little girl inside of us that is still waiting for us to go back and get her and tell her that she is worthy, that she is loved, and taking time to rest, to be able to say that to yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not about we're asking you to stop for a weekend, but we're asking you to go within any time to be able to say, I love myself, right? I deserve these good things. I deserve to dream. I deserve love again. I deserve, all the good things.
Yes, I love that. Liberation. That is so beautiful. And it's been like a theme that's been recurring for me. So I'm gonna write that down. When I'm dancing, I always share that I feel liberated. And when I did my research study on the impact of Caribbean music and dance on survivors of domestic violence, liberation and freedom were the top two descriptors. And so that has been a theme, and that's absolutely what I want girlfriends to feel when they leave. Absolutely. So thank you for that. Carlota, what about you? What are you thinking?
Renewal. So much has happened to us. And when we experience the first morning with Dr. D, we will understand. Well, we already know that so much has happened.
Yeah.
We're born, we've been given a gender or a sex, female, and that comes with a playbook that we don't choose. It says that somebody's superior than us, we're inferior. It says that we can't find our own way. We need to be led. It says that it gives us roles. This is what you should be doing and what you should be doing. And those things just tire us out. That's why we running all the time. We hustling, we trying. They put a box, and I don't fit well in boxes. And so you're contorting and you're trying.
Yes.
Right? And be tired.
Yes.
And so for me, we want renewal.
Yes.
And why this is so important, and I mean, I'm going right back to this word rest, because we are so, and I'm saying something I've just said before, we're so hyper aroused. Our we're stuck. Our nervous system is dysfunctional because we're stuck on fight, flight, run, hustle, do. And what we actually need is to address ourselves, the whole self awareness, this whole self discovery, going back to this little girl and all that she has experienced and don't even understand. And we, as older girls, don't recognize and can't link the two. And when we rest in this moment, then we get to restore the balance, because we now allow the rest that happens when we engage our parasympathetic nervous system. So now we exhale and we start that beautiful work, even though it's painful work, but it's liberating and freeing work of renewal. And so we walk from that place with a sense of hope, you know, and that we're going with we have girlfriends, we have a support system, we're healing in community. So for me, it's renewal, it's rest.
I love that. That is beautiful. And you know what came up for me when you said that is, you know, so it's so funny. I just sent a newsletter yesterday talking about, you know, this, you know, one day when my mom, she was talking to me and I wasn't hearing her. And when I finally snapped out of whatever it was, she said, "You've been mumbling to yourself." And I was like, "What?"
You've been
mumbling. Like I'm just talking to myself. And I said, "What do you mean?" She says, I've been calling you and you're not hearing me. I'm calling you and you're not hearing me. And you're just there. Your mouth is moving. You're talking. And I realized like my body was so stressed out that I was dissociating and I was zoning out because I wasn't intentional about my rest. And so what came up for me is we have choices, right? And what is empowering is when you choose to be intentional about your rest, right? There's you could fall asleep, right? Or you can be put to sleep, right? And that's what happened. My body shut itself down. It's like, okay, well, you're not slowing down. So I'm going to do what I need to do to start slowing down. The beautiful thing about listening to this and saying, I'm not going to wait until a crisis. I'm not going to wait until my body gives out or until my mind gives out to now center self-care and rest. There is beauty and there is power and liberation and renewal and empowerment when you intentionally choose to rest. I've noticed that for myself. Like if I'm working on something and I work myself out till I'm so tired, then I feel like something has overcome me. But when I say, you know what? I am done for today. I have done enough. I'm going to celebrate that. Tomorrow is another day. I am choosing to close this computer and take my cute little behind to rest because I know that I deserve it. It feels so empowering and it's such a shift. And so I say that to say, for those who are looking, don't wait for life to become so heavy that your mind or your body makes that decision to rest for you. This is an empowering opportunity where you can choose you by choosing to rest because you deserve it. And when we look at self-care can be those glamorized things, right? The mani and the petty. Yes, absolutely. But sometimes we don't always think about feeding our soul and our spirit is also self-care. And what's beautiful about it is it don't cost a damn thing to take time for yourself, right? The things that are so obvious, right? Sometimes we are a slave to our own intellect because we try to do so much. And the simplest things like our breath, like Carlotta's going to walk us through breath, just the power of our breath. Once we're living, we have access to that. And it costs us nothing to pause and to breathe and to be still. And it
Yeah.
does so much and costs nothing. So just know that when we think about self-care, it is all the beautiful. And y'all know I like my fashion. So I love to go shopping. I love to do all of that. But there is nothing that compares to when you choose you and you choose to rest and let that self-care be the things that fill you with joy and, like you said, liberation and renewal. And that is what this space is going to be. And we get the opportunity to do it with girlfriends, people who are also on that similar journey as us, right? So we can support each other. And that is how we accelerate that action. That is how we bring that community care. And then from there, that is how we radiate that joy and liberation out to the community, out to the front lines, out to the trenches. It starts with us. So
and there's another piece as you were talking. Sometimes what I also hope that we will all experience is not only the physical rest, but the burdens that we carry. Sometimes we live so much in the past, and I'm not minimizing our struggles and all the pain, but sometimes we are so caught in the past that we forget the and that brings us to the present. So I am whatever we're experiencing. Like for the week, I've been off balance. I've been in a lot of emotional pain. And I am grateful that I am on a healing journey. And so what the rest is to pay some attention to the now, to the present. Let us bring ourselves to the moment, staying in the moment. And so that in itself is rest, because we're resting from our troubles. If you're getting what I'm saying, we're resting from the troubles. We're not going to sleep, but we're resting, and we're coming to the present, where we can enjoy our breath, where we can enjoy the community, where we can hold hope, where we can talk of healing. It's the present, so we are resting.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Dr. D, I feel like I felt something stirring up in you to say.
No, I think the last thing that I want to add is joy, right?
Yeah. Oh, God, yes.
Sometimes we, come to these retreats and we're like, oh, I don't want to cry. I don't want to, I don't want to remember. I don't want to go back there, right? But this retreat is also about girlfriends and in community and laughter and joy and celebration. And I think we're asking people to, bring their goddess best, because I don't want to be a part of the revolution unless I look good.
You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Or unless I'm dancing. So
that's right.
Embracing radical rest and self-care is also about dancing and celebrating our wins and our successes. And who we've become. And so, join us to be in celebration for who we are today.
I absolutely love that. And sometimes we don't realize how much we've accomplished until we rest. Sometimes we carry these burdens unnecessarily, and then it's not until we rest that we're like, I made it through that. I did.
I made it.
Yes. So I am beyond thrilled, beyond liberated, beyond renewal, beyond joy to have you sisters, girlfriends, just us in that space, that energy. I am embracing, welcoming, and I'm just so looking forward to it. So thank you so much to the both of you for saying yes to co-creating this space for ourselves, for us, for community. This is how we are going to accelerate action for ourselves, right? For our communities and for society, is with our radical self-care and rest. So thank you, sisters. And I look forward to seeing you April 4th To the same.
I'm loving it. I'm coming to St. Croix April 4th.
That's
You can
right,
you
baby.
can come through 4th to the 6th on St. Croix. It's a beautiful place. You're going
Yes,
to enjoy it. I'm looking forward to
absolutely.
seeing all of you girlfriends.
Likewise, looking forward to seeing you there, loves. Mwah.
Mwah.
That's all for now, girlfriends. Let's stay connected and subscribe for more at www.girlfriendism.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram.